Hello guys. How are you guys doing? Today we are going to explore the 10 highest grossing movies of all time as of today. Before we do so, please subscribe and hit the like button so you get alerted every time we have another video coming out. Alright then, let's go. There's nothing quite like going to the movies. They can transport us to an infinite amount of universes and can make us laugh, cry, and cheer as we have never before with our loved ones and strangers alike. However, some rise above the rest and become special cultural moments that draw millions and millions of people from all backgrounds and have those same people cancel all their other plans to grab their popcorn and find a seat no matter what. These mega blockbusters sell a mind-boggling amount of tickets and, by looking at the list, you can start to see some patterns as to what it takes to be a member of this exclusive club. If you happen to be a big MCU event film, there is also a very high probability of success as 6 of the top 15 are from Marvel's catalog. We will review the top 10. 10. The Avengers, worldwide, $1.52 billion, domestic, $623.35 million. That idea was to build out the MCU and bring together the greatest heroes and villains together from Marvel's comics to build a film franchise unlike we've ever seen before. 2012 feat's The Avengers proved that idea was one of the greatest to ever have been had. With a worldwide gross of $1.52 billion, the first of the many team-ups between our heroes was a rousing success that proved that Marvel Studios was able to land this ambitious plane before going on many more. 9. The Lion King, worldwide, $1.66 billion, domestic, $543.63 million. The original The Lion King from 1994 is considered by many to be one of Disney's greatest films, and it was also one of its most successful with worldwide earnings of $968.51 million. The Lion King is the first Disney proper film on the list at number 9, and the next closest is Frozen 2's $1.40 billion at number 13. We enjoyed the film, but it did have a mixed reception overall. 8. Jurassic World, worldwide, $1.67 billion, domestic, $653.40 million. This list makes it increasingly clear that films from iconic franchises that come back many years later with some of the original characters in tow are a surefire way to get incredible ticket sales at the box office. Jurassic World roared back on the scene with a strong $1.67 billion box office performance that was a big jump from the original's $978.16 million run and Jurassic Park 3's $368.78 million one. The sequels never quite reached the height of the original in the new trilogy, but both did cross $1 billion and proved that dinos are here to stay. 7. Spider-Man: No Way Home, worldwide, $1.92 billion, domestic, $814.11 million. Spider-Man: No Way Home may not have been an Avengers movie, but it sure felt like one as it brought together so many characters from the Spider-Man universe that it became nearly as big of an event as any other film. While it wasn't confirmed until the film's release, fans around the world had a feeling it would be bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to join Tom Holland in a spectacular adventure, and that got people in those seats. There were some issues with the story as a whole, but it delivered on nostalgia and caused some pretty special cheers in the theaters. No Way Home is obviously the highest-grossing Spider-Man film, was the top earner in 2021, and was the first film since 2019's Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker to cross $1 billion at the global box office and to do so since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. 6. Avengers: Infinity War, worldwide, $2.05 billion, domestic, $678.81 million. Avengers: Endgame may have beaten out Avengers: Infinity War in the box office race, but Infinity War was the film that proved to the world that Marvel could do it. After 18 films and teases of Thanos and our heroes coming together for one ultimate battle to save everything, Infinity War, on most accounts, lived up to the hype. However, even before that was known, the promise of what was to come was enough to fill millions and millions of seats around the world and translated to a $2.05 billion global box office run. Avengers: Infinity War was the fourth film to cross $2 billion at the box office and the first superhero film to do so. 5. Star Wars: Episode 7 The Force Awakens, worldwide, $2.07 billion, domestic, $936.66 million. Say what you will about how Star Wars sequel trilogy ended, the news and arrival of Star Wars: Episode 7 The Force Awakens was a big deal. Not only was it the first film in the franchise since Revenge of the Sith and the controversial prequel trilogy, but it was also the first film and major project following the Walt Disney Company's acquisition of Lucasfilm. The Force Awakens would pave a new path forward in that galaxy far, far away without George Lucas, and would aim to honor the past while also introducing the future of what Star Wars would become. That promise translated to massive ticket sales reaching over $2 billion on a budget of roughly $300 million to $450 million. The Force Awakens would mark the height of Star Wars box office prowess, and The Last Jedi's $1.03 billion and The Rise of Skywalker's $1.07 billion, while still impressive when compared to other films, just couldn't quite match it. 4. Titanic, worldwide, $2.26 billion, domestic, $674.29 million. James Cameron isn't content with having just 2 movies in the top 5 highest-grossing films of all time. No, he had to go ahead and have a third with his Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet-led tragic retelling of Titanic's doomed voyage across the sea. 1998's Titanic was the first film to ever cross $1 billion worldwide and was actually the highest-grossing film of all time until Cameron's Avatar stormed onto the scene in 2009. In 2012, Titanic sailed back into theaters for a 3D re-release and became just the second film to ever earn $2 billion after Avatar. 3. Avatar: The Way of Water, worldwide, $2.31 billion, domestic, $683.66 million. The sequel to 2009's Avatar was originally aiming to be released in 2014 but, as we all know, it didn't make its way to theaters until the end of 2022. It started to feel like these so-called Avatar sequels may never happen with delay after delay, but Avatar: The Way of Water landed with such a resounding slam that it reminded us all to never underestimate James Cameron and the power of Pandora. Sure, it didn't quite soar to the heights of the original Avatar, but $2.31 billion in global box office revenue isn't the worst consolation prize. Avatar: The Way of Water had an estimated budget of $350 million to $460 million, and even James Cameron said the film would need to be the 3rd or 4th highest grossing film of all time to turn a profit. As you can see here, it did. 2. Avengers: Endgame, worldwide, $2.79 billion, domestic, $858.37 million. The only film to ever come close to toppling the behemoth known as Avatar was Avengers: Endgame, the culmination of the almost 21-year journey known as the Infinity Saga that began with 2008's Iron Man and was built up with stories from 21 movies before it. Fans had to wait a whole year to see what the true effects of Thanos' snap would be, and the excitement was unlike anything seen before. While it doesn't seem as much when you compare it to its box office earnings, Avengers: Endgame was one of the most expensive films ever made with a reported budget of around $356 million to $400 million. And lastly, the number 1. Avatar, worldwide, $2.92 billion, domestic, $785.22 million. When Avatar arrived in theaters back in 2009, it made a powerful statement with its groundbreaking visual effects and motion capture, stunning 3D technology, and the introduction of a world in Pandora that would spawn its own section of Disney World and a plan for at least 4 sequels. Moviegoers couldn't get enough of the film, and the ticket sales rushed in from the start and didn't stop until it nearly reached $3 billion off a roughly $237 billion budget. Even after almost 14 years, Avatar's reign atop the highest-grossing films of all time list has rarely been contested. There you have it. We hope you enjoyed it and see you soon for another one. Bye.